Don't forget, if you're looking for somebody to manage your books for either a virtual business or even your personal books, you should check out Molly Morris at M3 Virtual Accounting. Molly is handling all of my books now, both personal and professional, and I really wish that I had hired her sooner. I put myself through a lot of heartache and stress for no good reason because she is way better at this than I am. So check out M3 Virtual Accounting, set up a totally free consult. She will just chat with you about what you're looking for and whether or not what she does will be able to help you. And she works with you on your budget and will just do everything according to the specifications you need for your business and your goals. M3virtualaccounting.com, and let Molly know I sent you.
This is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Some Spoiled, a Song of Ice and Fire 2, the co-host switcheroo, the rereading Return to Westeros HBO spoiler edition, uncut, uncensored, and too hot for TV, bringing you the greatest hits of, I keep forgetting to cut that, call in with your requests now! In this episode, we're covering chapters 38 and 39, Jaime and Cersei. Mm-hmm. We get a real contrast in how to handle situations with mercy and the benefit of the doubt. And then how not to do that in any way, shape, or form. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
So, what do you think about this? And I just say this in terms of the contrast between these two, because I definitely feel they're back to back for a reason here.
I mean, sometimes you don't appreciate a thing until you see it in stark contrast with another thing.
It's true.
Yeah, it's something to see.
Mm-hmm. Indeed it is.
Jaime demonstrated what I thought was some remarkable restraint.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely,
especially for him.
Mm-hmm, that's exactly what I was about to say. We're seeing some real growth there. And we also see him being pretty crafty as well with, trying to solve his Edmure problem,
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Cersei, who just like, if we're being nice and we're going to give Jaime credit and say, he was doing something artfully, or skillfully with precision. And then you have a Cersei who is just like Jaime used a scalpel and she just has a giant hammer. He's just swinging her wildly around, knocking everybody upside the head, whether it is good idea or bad idea.
Yep.
It's just really something to see them both move through these situations in such different ways when they had been so similar for much of the time that I've known them as characters,
Yeah.
It's really continues to be something to watch them diverge, and become these two very different types of people.
Yep.
Cersei, we'll get to her chapter when we get to her chapter. We'll just start with Jaime for now.
Oh man, I'm sorry. You and I talked for hours. We were fine. And now Sam is over here poking into stuff. Apologies, everybody, if you hear some sounds, but he's looking for trouble. He's looking for it, and he will find it. Yesterday, I had some containers of chicken and rice defrosting on the counter that I was going to use for the dog's topples. And I went out for a bit and came home, and one of those containers was chewed to pieces, and there was rice everywhere, and Sam was laying in the midst of it looking very happy. Anyway, So Jaime, it starts off with him talking to the Blackfish, the Brynden Tully Blackfish. And he is giving Jaime a look, and Jaime's like, "Ooh, boy, this is really going to be an uphill battle, isn't it?"
This guy does not see it for me at
all. Not even a little bit. So he tries his best to like keep his temper, and he does manage to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really interesting thing now that we have gotten to know Jaime so much better, to see somebody coming at him with the same "you are worthless" and a oath breaker energy that we have seen from people so much before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just hits really, really different once you've gotten a little more in his head. Before, it was just kind of like, man, people really just come at him kind of aggressively. And now it's like, ouch, ew, you don't even know what happened. You know what? Why don't you just keep your comments to yourself? Okay? Pipe down, buddy. And I just got myself very defensive over him. That's all.
It's the Blackfish is like really trying to antagonize and provoke Jaime, and I could not get over how restrained Jaime remained throughout this entire thing. Like the very first thing, the Blackfish shows up, and it's just like, Kingslayer. Jaime is like, what the fuck? The first thing you're gonna say to me? God damn. But then he just replies out loud. He's just like, Blackfish. And the thing about the Blackfish is I don't recall exactly what the deal is with that name, right? I get sort of the context around it, but I know it's like an insult, but it's not as cold an insult as Kingslayer. It doesn't have that weight behind it, but it says,
I just looked it up just for you.
Okay.
After a quarrel with his elder brother, Lord Hoster called Brynden the black goat of the Tully herd, basically black sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Brynden pointed out their sigil was a fish, so he took the name Blackfish and changed the color scheme of his personal sigil to a jumping black trout, which is normally silver in the Tully sigil.
Okay, so he took this insult that his brother lobbed at him and was like, I'm going to take it and I'm going to claim it and make it mine so that no one else can use it against me, kind of thing. Oh, yes. you want me to be the black sheep? I'll be your black sheep then. How about that? Again, very similar to Tyrion's advice to Jon Snow all that time ago. This idea of people are going to try to, if you take what they try to throw in your face away from them, then it removes the power it has over you, that whole idea. So we're seeing that once again. But yeah, so Jaime calling him Blackfish to his face doesn't hit as hard as calling Jaime Kingslayer to his face.
True.
But I do love that that's what Jaime says in response.
Yeah, he's just like, well, okay, if this is the energy we're moving with, then I suppose I can participate.
Right. It's like, oh, we're just using nicknames out loud now? All right. But yeah, so this whole meeting is it does not go well for Jaime.
No.
He doesn't have any leverage. And that part isn't really his fault, because of how they had been behaving before Jaime got here with the siege, before, and the sort of bringing out of Edmure every day, but not ever actually hanging him. He's just, taking the teeth kind of right out of that. And then Jaime's history, his own personal history, with him being a Kingslayer, and then the fact that Cat let him go and he was supposed to, return the daughters, and he didn't do that. And so
he's working on it. Can everybody just give him some time? Jesus.
I love too that he actually thinks that to himself. Like for a second, he almost wants to be like, wait, no, you don't understand. I am working on it. I sent Brienne out. I gave her a fancy sword and everything in a letter. But he has to stop himself from doing that. Brynden Tully is not here to make any deals, y'all. He's not.
He
is
mostly
not.
is like, I came out here pure to fuck with you before I go back and take a nap.
I was bored and we don't have Wi-Fi. So I came outside to play with you. Is exactly what he ends up telling him at the end of this little meeting. Jaime is trying a couple of different tactics. You know, he offers to do a prisoner exchange. Edmure for the Westerlings. And
which is admittedly a pretty good offer.
Yeah, Jaime is like, look, I'm offering you a highborn lord for an old lady and a widow. You know, come on. And what does Tully say to that? He's just like, no, I swore an oath to my nephew or my king to like keep his wife safe, and that's what I'm going to do. And Jaime's like, okay, your king is dead. That war is over. What are you doing, sir? Who are you being faithful to and for? And you know what, y'all? In that context, he's not wrong.
Honestly, I forget how that's framed. And so when he's like, my king, and I was like, who?
Right?
Wait,
right?
the guy who died, is that who you're talking about? I definitely had a moment. Yeah.
I did as well, because I've been thinking like, all right, well, they're you know, the siege at Riverrun, and you know, Brendan is just going to like wait them out. And in my head, I finished that sentence with wait them out until reinforcements come. There are no reinforcements coming.
Nah, they are as reinforced as is going to happen.
So like, honestly, don't get me wrong, you guys. I'm not, I get like not wanting to surrender because of pride and honor and fear for your life, because you know you're a traitor and you don't want to be taken captive. But outside of those things, what are we doing here at Riverrun? What is the end game here? What do you think the end game is? I don't, and it doesn't come up. Like, say, because Brendan is just like, well, we've got plenty of food, we can last forever. You know, meanwhile, I don't think you guys have hardly enough, and we sure didn't leave any trees standing for you. Like, Brendan is like, we can wait you out. But wait them
Jaime
out
tries to be like,
what?
we're good, we have everything we need, and he's like, yeah.
He is not falling for that.
Not even a little.
But so what else does he offer? He offers the exchange. He's like, you know, you can't wait this out forever. And Tully is just really not yielding out of spite.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is valid. Don't get me wrong, but
definitely.
You know, and he's like, he's throwing the phrase, and he, you know, what happened at the Red Wedding, and Jaime is like, I didn't have anything to do with that, and Tully does not really give a fuck if you were personally involved. As far as he's concerned, your whole family is shit, you know, and you are shit because you're one of them, and fuck the phrase as well. And even though it was the phrase who did it, I think he even says that has Tywin Lannister written all over it. And Jaime is like in his brain, like, I'm just gonna let that go. I'm not even gonna like it. I'm not even gonna talk.
What's the point in trying to argue when you know that shit is dead on? May as well just cop to it, I guess.
Right. I'm not even gonna pretend to be offended that you said that. I'm just
I mean, yeah. This is the thing, is like, nothing that anybody thinks about the situation itself is incorrect. Everybody's right about it in general. They just don't really like understand Jaime's position within all of it. And to be fair, Jaime is aligning himself with his family. So when it comes right down to it, you are repping what they did. Like,
absolutely,
you can be held responsible for it, even if you weren't part of it. Like, that's part of what being in the same house and having each other's backs is.
Yep. Just like you know, take part of the victory and the benefits that come with that name and being in line with them. You have to also bear, like, you know, you're culpable. You're through in your lot with them. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you didn't plan it yourself with your father. You're as guilty as the rest of them. Which I think Jaime would disagree with, but you know, until he gets to a point in his life, if he ever gets to a point in his life where he is just like, you know what, fuck the Lannisters for real. I like, you know, I renounce everything. which
Yeah,
I don't
I
really
wonder
see
what
that
that
being.
would be like.
You know, I feel like Jamie might get close to being frustrated enough to do that, but then
Mhm.
I feel like at least so far anyway, what I think of his character is even if he got really frustrated and he said out loud, "Fuck this family, fuck this name, I don't want any of it anymore," something would tug at him, and he would never
Mm,
really be able to fully turn his back.
yeah.
But again, I could be, influenced from the show's sort of characterization of him, because that's kind of what happened. That's what the show did, is they had him run back home at the last minute.
Oh, and by the way, somebody, and thank you guys so much always for, jumping in and let me know about specifics with things that sometimes we get wrong. But, there was Alex Byrne says, uh, the show actually cut out the violent car part of the prophecy. They kept all the rest of it, but cut out that line.
Oh.
So, because I was just like, I don't get why they didn't just skip it. And apparently they did skip it. And I could have sworn that they kept it, but evidently not. So I will cop to the fact that I was being hard on the show for a thing that I made up. Sorry about it. Most of the time, what I say is completely fair, but this one was not. So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to talk about the violent car again, trying to remember what else we were talking about when it came to that, but I can't remember the rest of it. I know we were wondering about, how did I know about it? I must have, if it wasn't.
I'm
on the
sure
show.
it was like people
yeah,
theorizing about shit.
yeah, I must have picked it up on these internet streets somewhere.
You were deep in those chat circles.
I really was.
That's what they call them, right?
Sure, chat circles. Yeah, that's a thing. It's a real thing.
That's what Google tried to make happen.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to make circles happen.
You were in full support of that too.
I really was. You guys, you don't know how much I believed that was the future. Facebook was going to go away and we were all going to laugh at Facebook, and I wish I was right so much, but that's not how it went.
That is not what happened. If we had stayed to Google circles, maybe we never would have got Trump as president.
Oh my God. That's such an interesting conjecture. I don't even want to think about that, but also I wouldn't mind some, somebody just sort of roughing up some, what do they call that when you create a simulation of whether something would happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you use all
mm-hmm.
the statistics and the likelihoods and whatnots. You know the things, the whatnots.
Mm-hmm. The whatnots.
I am very smart. So yeah, this whole conversation kind of goes nowhere. He tries to say that I won't harm, this, if you hand her over Rosalind Frey, I won't hurt her. You have my word of honor. And of course that's the wrong thing to say. Brendan is like, you literally don't know what that means. That's the whole thing.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. No. Who is it that he's asking him to hand
Westerling?
over? Yes, Jane Westerling. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I love when because Jamie's horse is named Honor. So he says, do you even know what Honor is? A horse. Honestly, I know he shouldn't say that because I don't know that Brendan even is aware, but a part of me kind of wanted him to say it.
I don't think he says it out loud.
No, he doesn't. But I kind of wanted him to a little bit. Just to fucking poke at him, because nothing he says is going to make things worse. Brendan Tully already hates his guts and isn't going to listen to a goddamn thing he says. So part of me wanted to just be like, come on, just poke him a little bit. Be like, oh, it's my horse. I ride on her every day. But yeah, he tries to suggest, well, I can let you take the black.
Mm-hmm.
And
he promises that the men will be free to go if they don't want to serve the new Lord of Riverrun. They can go off on their own, but they have to surrender their armor and their weapons. And Brendan is like, oh, so you're just going to send them into the woods completely, vulnerable?
Mm-hmm.
You do know that there's outlaws out there, right?
There's also a weird reaction from Brendan at the mention of Jon. When he says, like, his bastard Jon Snow is a Lord Commander at the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
He says, did your father arrange for that as well? Catelyn never trusted the boy, as I recall. No more than she ever trusted Theon Greyjoy. It would seem she was right about them both. What does he
I remember that.
think? Does he think, like, Jon stabbed somebody in the back? Like,
well, that's a really good question, because we know that Jon's reputation may have taken a hit because, you know, he joined the Wildlings and people didn't understand that he was actually like a double agent. But I don't know if that information would have made it to Riverrun at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how widely known it is. That was
we're trying to talk about stuff being wild, but also talking about wildlings.
But you know, I don't know if that is like knowledge that people would have. We all know the cat didn't like Jon Snow, but what makes the Blackfish think that that was a correct assessment of his character? I don't know. Theon, you know, that's very clear, even though it turns out that it's actually not true, but you know, the worst of it isn't true anyway. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I didn't know what he was talking about with Jon Snow either. Far as I understood, the people that were left behind in Westeros know that he went up to the Wall. Like, they wouldn't even know that he was Lord Commander yet at this point.
Yeah.
Well, Jaime says that he's Lord Commander, but I would have thought that would have been like news, you know?
Yeah, I'm wondering, because the way he raises his eyebrow about it, maybe it was news to Brendan. Maybe he didn't know about it. Because, like, you know, the Lannisters know due to Jon writing down about the situation with Stannis.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to be like, duh, I know it looks bad. It's not what it looks like. I don't know what kind of communications he's had with anybody else. Has he reached out to Brendan to try and get him to come reinforce him?
True. You know what? Did he send anything to his family? I don't remember. But maybe it's a reaction to that. It's odd that someone as young as Jon, who's a bastard, would have risen to the rank of Lord Commander. So maybe Brendan is trying to suggest that the reason Jon got that position is maybe because Tywin negotiated it for him. You know, but that's really filling in. That's a lot of fucking trying to fill in the blanks to figure out why he lands here. I don't know.
Especially considering how completely unwilling to help the Lannisters are with the Wall. So just being like, oh yeah, he's you know, they're on the same side. I'm like, there's not a whole lot of evidence to support that, my friend. They don't seem like they have each other's backs at all.
Yeah. But he's not impressed with this offer to go take the Black, and is convinced, Tully, that he would rather die here. If that's the case, then he would rather die here than bend the knee or any of that other shit. Jaime is like, all right, well, then let's me and you go. And he's like, why would I do that?
No, Brendan says me and you. Like, Jaime wants to do just a trial by combat in general. And Brendan's like, oh, really? With who? Not you? You don't want to fight me? That's weird. You should just fight me. And Jaime cites that he made the oath to Catelyn not to raise arms against Stark or Tully. A most convenient oath, sir. Jaime's face darkened. Right. Are you calling me a coward? No, I am calling you a cripple. We both know you cannot fight with that. I had two hands. Some might say a cripple and an old man are well matched. So
he has some. He says, "Free me from my vow, and you'll see."
Sir,
it's like, yeah, you know, I'd really love to fucking fuck you up real quick, but it's not worth it to me. And you know, why would I risk the small chance of me dying for what?
That's a fair question.
Jaime gets really fucking insulted too, because Brendan is just like, this would literally benefit me in no way except the joy I would take in actually getting to kill you. But as
Yeah.
much as I would love killing you, it's not worth risking my life. And Jaime is like, I cannot believe this motherfucker is talking all this shit right to my face. If I had 2 hands, god damn it, you're lucky I didn't bring my sword with me.
So he finally rides away, is very relieved that nobody tries to shoot his horse. And there's this moment, this is so embarrassing. So he's gathering all of the lords together, and the Freys sent Sir Walder Rivers, called Bastard Walder, and Sir Rymon's firstborn Edwin, a pallid, slender man with a pinched nose and lank dark hair. Under a blue lambswool cloak, Edwin wore a jerkin of finely tooled grey calfskin with ornate scrollwork worked into the leather. I speak for House Frey. My father is indisposed. Sir Davin gave a snort. Is he drunk, or just greensick from last night's wine? Lord Jaime, must I suffer such discourtesy? Is it true? Is your father drunk? My father has a bad belly, my lord. Red wine helps with his digestion. He must be digesting a bloody mammoth. Oh my god. And this dude does turn out to be a fucking mess.
Yeah,
later.
he really does. It really does. Like when you're reading this bit, you're just like, damn, that's rude, y'all. Like, really? This seems like you're doing a lot. And then you meet him in a couple pages and you're just like, oh, right. I see. My God. And when we do meet him in a couple pages and he has that girl with him and he calls her a slattern, that will never recover from that. Anytime that word comes up.
Slattern. Do you remember when Bill calls Jessica that in True Blood? And she doesn't know what it is.
I do not. No, I don't remember that.
Oh, that show was so weird sometimes.
So Jaime has like this war council that he's getting together, these people that you mentioned, and I want to just mention that Lady Jenna shows up, and nobody says shit. Not a single person says anything like, oh, she shouldn't be here. What is she doing here?
Yeah.
And she comes in and she just gives them all very much like, I wish you would say something. And even though we don't really get a lot of her in this POV like we did when we met her in the last Jaime chapter, but I was just glad to see that she's still on her bullshit. I was like, all right.
I think about the vibes that I always carried walking through Frankfurt with my fucking attitude from leaving Aramark, one of the worst jobs I ever had, and how I would be like low-key hoping somebody would start some shit with me. And I feel like that energy was so obvious that nobody ever started anything with me because they were like, well, clearly this girl is just trying to get in a fight, so we don't need any of that. And I like to think that's how she carries herself too. Yeah, just sort of everybody going, no, I'm good.
Yeah, it's just and how effective it is too. Like everybody's just like, I mean, I could maybe try to say something, but do I really want to do that?
For why?
Right? Nah, I better not. I just better not. I also like to think that this is how she is received because she has a reputation. I'm sure at some point in her life, people did say something. And then after so many years, people learned to not say anything. And I just love that for her. I don't know exactly what happened and what it looked like, but I love the idea that people learned to just fucking not say anything.
Agree. So, of course, they start talking about like what they're going to do, whether they're going to storm the place. And it's going to cost so many lives, and fucking Emmon can't let go of the fact that Riverrun is his and he doesn't want it damaged.
My castle.
He is so fucking
they're
tiresome.
Talking about storming the gate and shit and fucking having, ramming the gate and storming the walls. And he goes to pull that parchment out again. These are my walls, and that is my gate. And somebody's like, For fuck's sake, dude, we have seen your paper. God damn it, put it away. Somebody says, why don't you go wave it in the Blackfish's face? These people are sick to death of him and this piece of paper. They really, really are. Like, if they were going to murder him in his sleep, they would 100% shove that piece of paper in his mouth. That's how you would find his body.
Oh my
the next
God,
morning.
yeah,
He
definitely
would be dead with that parchment in his mouth.
One of them mentions like putting night soil on the shafts of their
Yes.
weapons and like
I
going
didn't
out so
even-
that they die of infection and stuff.
Yeah,
And I was
I
like,
didn't
that
even
is-
get that it was a poison until somebody clarified. I didn't know what it was. It's a night soil, and I was like, "The fuck!" I'm not going to tell y'all what I thought it meant because it's just it's so ridiculous.
Wait.
It's embarrassing.
Wait, Rashawn, it does mean that. What you thought it meant.
What do you mean?
Night soil is shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Indeed.
Oh
Yes.
my god!
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I did not understand.
Yeah, it's basically the contents
is
of your
happening.
chamber pot. Yeah.
I did not. You guys. What even is? What are we doing? We are trying to have a society here, people. I know we are at war, but for God's sake. Oh no!
Is that what you thought it was? Because I assumed
Mm-mm.
that was what
No.
you were thinking. But
No.
what did you think it was then?
I don't really I didn't think it was shit, first of all. I just thought it was something to like camouflage the arrows or something like that. I don't know. It was just a quick thinking, oh, that's weird. I wonder what they mean by that. Maybe it has something to do with maybe not being able to see the arrows as they coming through over the night. And then someone says, where exactly is the part about it? Because someone says, who will be making a
Will the night soil
contribution?
be your own contribution? A mortal poison, I don't doubt. And so he's basically saying, like, your shit in particular is probably toxic as fuck because you are disgusting.
I get it now. I absolutely did not get it when I was reading it. Like, not
that
even
is hysterical.
not even a little bit. Oh my god! So I was really confused. I was like, okay, so he's saying it's poison, but I don't understand why he's phrasing it like that. What does he mean? Would that be his only contribution? And that's just a weird thing to say. Oh, you guys. Context is so important. My God.
Oh, I love that so much.
My God. Well, I have to
Indeed.
try to figure out how to get back on track because I'm all fucked up now. I don't.
She's a flutter. This is when Strongbort is like, he deserves a nobler death than that. Let me fight him. Why would he deign to accept your challenge? What could he gain? I do not believe that we'll lift the siege if he wins, and so he won't believe it either. And he's right.
Mm-hmm.
So then Norbert chimes in. I can't with the name Norbert too, by the way. That just looks like Eddie Murphy every time.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that movie.
If it please my lords, let me go and speak with him and try to make him understand the hopelessness of his position.
Yeah, this
Again,
guy is like I
he's
go back.
not-
Well, he thinks because they've known each other for so long that he's going to be able to get through to Brendan in a way that nobody else can, which to me is really wild to even consider. Because even if we did go back, right, and we used to be cool, maybe we were squires together, ages ago, my family has been slaughtered.
Yeah.
Whatever we had before, that's
Yep.
over. That's done. So I just like this. He thinks that he can go in and really impress upon Tully that this is a no-win situation, and like you just need to like give it up,
Yeah.
But they decide that that's not the way they want to go either.
We have an exchange here so Lord Piper is the one who is like, the Blackfish isn't a fucking moron. He knows the stakes here, and he is not going to yield. He's made his decision. And he says he has too much sense to yield to such as these. He made a rude gesture in the direction of Edwin Frey and Walder Rivers. If my Lord of Piper means to imply, I don't imply, Frey. I say what I mean, straight out, like an honest man. But what would you know of the ways of honest men? You're a treacherous, lying weasel, like all your kin. I'd sooner drink a pint of piss than take the word of any Frey. Where is Mark? Answer me that. What have you done with my son? He was a guest at your bloody wedding. And our honored guest he shall remain until you prove your loyalty. 5 knights and 20 men-at-arms went with Mark to the twins. Are they your guests as well, Frey? Some of the knights, perhaps. The others were served no more than they deserved. You'd do well to guard your traitor's tongue, Piper, unless you want your heir returned in pieces. And they start to go at it. Jaime has to tell them to sit the fuck down, and they don't listen to him right away. And eventually, Frey is continuing to push it and be like, you should behead him as a traitor, blah, blah, blah. And Jaime says, the twins took up the young wolf's cause as well. Then you betrayed him. That makes you twice as treacherous as Piper. He enjoyed seeing Edwin's thin smile curdle up and die.
Yeah, this is a lot going on. Like we said last time, the phrase came up where, like, I just really enjoy how everybody is in agreement that the phrase ain't shit. Like, everybody is in agreement. And it appears that they were not held in high esteem before the Red Wedding, and their social capital has just plummeted since. I like Jaime reminding this Frey kid of, you know, what the deal is, because he is really sitting up on this high horse about being loyal to our king, you know, and blah 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 blah, and talking to Piper, and Jaime has to be like, I beg your pardon, you know, may not recall.
I know you think you're like making yourself look amazing here, but you're not making any of us forget how the fuck this actually happened. So,
and I do like also that this murder, the Red Wedding, and the violation of the guest rights is, we've talked about this before, is so egregious, right? That it is it's like an unforgivable, you know, sin. And their name was already trash, but they have sullied their name in such a profound way that no one is going to take them serious, and no one's going to trust them. And then this particular guy, this Piper, and his kid that he's talking about, Mark, I don't recognize those names, and I don't remember anything explicit about them. And he also says, you know, my son went to your wedding. This is all stuff that we didn't see, right?
Yeah,
or did
correct.
we? Okay.
No, we didn't see it.
All right. But so I don't know exactly what happened, but Mark was invited to a wedding there, and then got there and is now a captive, because
alleged, like, they're like, oh, we're holding him hot, but it's like, are you, or are you just saying that he's still alive? Like,
exactly. Like we don't even know if he's really still alive. But my point is that they went to this wedding, and they would have been allies, and then they get there. My assumption is this, whatever wedding that this guy and his son went to, they would have received the invitation before the Freys betrayed Robb. And then they get there, and the Freys it turns out, have double-crossed them, and now they're in enemy territory when they had no intention of going to see an enemy. They thought they were going to see a Frey. You know? And I like that, because even though I didn't really see it, and it might not make, you know, might not be super important for the story overall, I do like the idea that it makes me consider the consequences of what the Freys did on a bigger scale, right?
Yes.
Like I it had never really occurred to me that outside of the twins, right, and where the wedding took place, like just the people who were there, I often will forget to think, well, there's Freys all over the place, you know. And
Well, the whole thing that they're talking about with Mark, he was at the red wedding.
he says, I went to your he went to your wedding. He's talking to
Your bloody wedding. He's talking about the Frey's bullshit
oh,
wedding.
he was see, god damn it. So I took that literally, like he meant I was at you, specifically your wedding.
Okay, I got you.
I thought bloody was like a curse word. Like I was at your fucking wedding.
I mean, it is it's like doing two things here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Fuck. So this is just the one big massacre wedding, then. All right.
Yes.
Well, damn. Well, that's that makes what we're saying irrelevant.
I do think though that it's interesting to point out how like the wedding affected more than just the Starks. Like that there are other people who are going to be in a position where you did something unforgivable and now I'm meant to like work with you. Are you fucking kidding?
Mm-hmm.
Like
right.
The effect on their reputation is definitely still so significant. But yeah, so I'm looking up Mark over here. Storm of Swords. Mark is among Robb's nobles who eat the food and drink of Walder Frey upon arrival at the twins, granting them guest right. He plays a drinking game with Sir Danwell Frey and jests with Alex Frey. He joins the group which takes Roslyn from the hall, and Catelyn Stark observes him removing the shoe of Edmure's bride as part of the bedding custom. So, yeah, this is... Oh, and it says, traveling through the Riverlands, Arya Stark and Sandor Clegane encounter a Piper bowman sworn to Mark. Wounded by a Bolton during the Red Wedding, the bowman is given the gift of mercy by the Hound. So, yeah, that's the guy. Do you remember that they are asking him what happened, and he's talking about how they're drinking in the tents, and then he like heard the screaming, and he's still not really even understanding what happened. Like we were drinking and joking, and then all of a sudden they were killing us.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So the reason that Piper is over here, like he believes that his son is still alive, that he is in the hold of the Freys / Lannisters, and that if he follows the rule of law and stops siding with the wolf, he will get his son back. But there's not really a guarantee here, and there's like a vibe for me that his son is not alive anymore, but I don't know.
You can't tell me, so there's no sense in me asking.
Yeah, yep.
Never mind. I forgot what we were doing here for a second. Poor Jaime too, because once he tells these guys that they have to fucking calm this shit down, and like you said, they don't really respond to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them, after Jaime yells like once or twice, one of them sits down, but the other guy like leaves. I think it's Piper.
Yeah,
he's so mad.
Leaves.
He just like storms out, which, I mean, Jaime is cool about it. He doesn't send anybody after him, but I feel like that's kind of disrespectful. Like to just be storming definitely out. Jaime didn't like tell you it was okay for you to leave. And somebody I think offers to be like, "You gonna let that shit slide? Do you want me to go get him?" Drag his ass back in here.
Yep. Yeah, I also kind of wanted him to be there to see Jaime tear this Frey down. You know what I mean?
That would have been satisfying. Yeah.
Just for the sake of it. It's like a petty, it's not meaningful, but I was just like, I kind of wish he knew that Jaime is under no illusions about these fucking Freys either. But
I do like that somebody one of these guys tries to tell Jaime, like, man, I know that was out of pocket, but you got to understand, like, that was his son, his nephews, and family members, you know. That's why he's, like, really touchy about all this. And Jaime doesn't really have a chance to respond to this because right as the guy says that, then Edwin pipes up and starts talking about how they're all traitors. And then that's when Jaime reminds him that they're also traitors too. But I was
Yeah.
curious, like, what Jaime's response would have been when to this guy who's telling him, like, the Lord Piper is just like really, really upset, and like, he was out of pocket, but don't hold it against them, because I think Jaime was about to like say something and offer him like a bit of grace, This is what it felt like. But instead, I also enjoyed him tearing down Frey. Don't get me wrong, but
always. So again, Aemon fucking whining about his thing. I forbid you to damage and they're just all like, oh my God, literally go die. Literally, just please go and drop dead. We are so sick of you. And eventually conversation breaks up and he's like, I'm going to deal with Edmure. So let me go to the gallows.
Right. I just want to say really quickly, right when he's talking about, I forbid you doing any damage, and he announces that, I'm the lawful lord, and it's his fucking wife that interrupts him. And she's just like, yeah, not as long as Tully's alive though. So, and then she tells Jaime, yeah, and what are you going to do about that, sir? What are you going to do about this guy being alive?
I love her so much. She's just constantly reminding everybody to put your money where your mouth is, basically. So he has to go over to the gallows, and on the way over there, this like whore comes up and tries to be like, hey boys, and Strongboard directs her to Ilan Payne, and she doesn't like get the vibe right away, and she's sort of like, yeah, let's do this, sweetie, and then looks at him and is like, oh God, and just backs away.
She takes one look at his eyes and is like, I have made a terrible mistake. Just like turns around and leaves. So this is when they get to the other side and make their way up to where the gallows are. This is a whole other part of the sort of encampment. And there's a really neat description of, there's another Frey. This is the dad who was too drunk to show up for the war council.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really cool description of what his pavilion is set up like. And their tents are made in such a way that it looks like stone walls. And then like, I guess the peaks of the tents are sort of like in the style of the twins. It was a really neat visual.
And there's a guy he passes here. Walder Rivers stood before his own modest tent talking with 2 men at arms. When the bastard saw Jaime, he frowned. There's a cold, suspicious look if I ever saw one. That one is more dangerous than any of his true-born brothers. Which I believe that's the guy that's called Black Walder, and he has a reputation. So he right about that. So I love when he goes to see Edmure and they're like, you can't go up there. And he's like, I can. The only question is whether I have to step over your twitching dead body or if I get to do this because you let me through. When they let him through, and Edmure sees pain with him and very understandably assumes this is his death sentence here.
Yeah. He's trying to be all gallant about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better the sword than a rope. Just do it. Man, he lifts that sword up like he's about to take his fucking head off, and he turns so goddamn fast. Wait, no, stop, no.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying this reaction is wrong, but it's really fucking funny.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm looking at this. It doesn't say that. He says he gripped the sword. Edmure's cracked lips moved soundlessly. As Sir Ilan drew the blade back, he closed his eyes.
Oh, God damn it. It's Edwin Frey who comes screaming no and stop.
I think you read too fast today.
I think I did. I'm missing all kinds of shit. This is terrible, you guys. I'm just misreading all kinds of shit today.
I've had these days, though. I get it.
It's just terrible.
Terrible. Just terrible. So I love this, though. They're in the midst of this. Edwin comes running in and is just like, you can't do this. And he calls Jaime, to which Jaime is like, I am my lord to you, and you don't tell me what the fuck to do. Sir Ryman came stomping up with a straw-haired slattern as drunk as he was. And she's got her tits out and she's wearing Rob's old crown. And she doesn't know who Jaime is. And who in seven hells is this? And I'm just like, oh, girl, if he were not as understanding a guy as he is, this could have gone so bad for you. Like, I would just be a lot more careful. That's all I'm saying. And
I can't believe that they have Rob's crown on her.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get over this.
Why? Just the disrespect?
The disrespect of it. I just like. Why does he have it? First of all, I just can't get over it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I would have thought if anybody was going to have it, that it would just be in Walter Frey's. Like, it would just be there if it was going to be anywhere, you know. But this guy has it in his possession to parade around and play with and give to whatever whore he's fucking is just beyond the pale to me. I don't know why I'm so like done up by like this sort of breach of what I would have thought was a protocol that was respected. But I just am really just like, wow.
So she says that, because he's like, calls her my lady, I'm the queen. My sister will be surprised to hear that. Lord Ryman crowned me his very self. I'm queen of whores. No, Jaime thought, my sweet sister holds that title too. And I was like, ouch. All right. And then Ryman says, shut your mouth, slut. And I was just like, good God. So abrupt.
Jaime doesn't want to hear some harlot's nonsense. But
same.
But you could have told her to stay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she followed you out there. You could have just told her to stay in the tent. She's here with you.
Ugh, this guy. He's just what he's just an embarrassment. So basically Jaime says, you're being asinine. The fact that you're drunk, fucking around, the fact that Edmure is out here on this gallows, it's making us look like assholes. And he's like, well, I gave the Blackfish warning and I told him what I was going to do. And he says something about how, like, I wanted to let him know we don't make idle threats. And Jaime's like, yeah, wow. So you hanged him, huh? And he's like, well, if we hang the man, we have no hostage. Have you considered that? He says, have you considered that? To Jaime. To Jaime, as if Jaime isn't here for that very reason that you are making threats you cannot carry out because of that. You are the one who hadn't considered that. What are you saying? So then Jaime
tries to illustrate to him.
Yeah. Go ahead. This is so good.
Through. And he's just like, if I were to threaten to smack you in your fucking mouth and you ended up speaking anyway, and then I didn't hit you, what would you think? And he starts to talk, and then Jaime just smacks him in the mouth.
I swear to God.
And he does it with the golden hand.
The fact that he does it with his gold hand is so much more insulting, and it probably hurt so much worse.
Oh, it had to have hurt worse, right?
Them shits are heavy. Like,
you know, sent a backhand blow delivered with his golden hand, but the force sent him stumbling backward into the arms of his whore.
Good thing she was there for you, buddy.
Right. Nobody else was there. He would have ended up right on his ass. Oh, fuck's sake. And then Jaime's just like, you're fucking an embarrassment. You're terrible. And I think we should just have Payne take your fucking head off. And then says to Ellen Payne, how many strokes do you think it would take to get through that neck? And Ellen Payne just puts one finger up. An
empty boast. I say 3. Ryman Frey went to his knees. I have done nothing but drink and whore, I know. I am heir to the crossing. You can't. I warned you about talking. You are dismissed, sir. Dismissed? You heard me. Go away. But where should I go? To hell or home, as you prefer. Oh, God.
Yeah, tells him to get the
Edwin,
fuck
I'm
out of
giving you your
town.
father's command. Try not to be as stupid as your sire. That ought not pose much difficulty, my lord.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
And, like,
God,
this-
I love
like,
that.
I don't really I don't like this Edwin Frey any more than I like his fucking father, but I have to like give him a little bit of credit for that line. It's pretty good. Also, it's such a good example too, like another demonstration of just these Freys are not shit, even to each
Yeah.
other. It's just
Yep.
like my
It's every
God.
man for himself with the phrase.
It really is every man for himself, and everybody wants. I guess because there's just so many of them that they all have to like fight for every scrap. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know, but it is really something because they seem to be willing to turn on each other and throw each other under the bus in pursuit of their own, ambition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, we've met other families that have been like conniving and everything too. Maybe it's just the sheer number of the phrase that makes it seem so outsized compared to other families.
That may be
because-
it. That there's just so many fuckboys that you're just
exactly
kind of
right.
God.
Like if you got a family, and there's like 5 guys in it, and they're all trash. You're like, oh yeah, fuck those dudes. But you get another family, and there's 45 of those motherfuckers, and they're all trash. You're just like, God damn.
Yeah.
It just So yeah, this guy is like doesn't say anything to even try to defend his father when he's having this back and forth with Jaime. And then Jaime hands the reins over to him, and there's nothing about like, well, maybe we can spare my father, or maybe, what about we do this instead and sending him away. This guy is just like, all right, Dad, bye.
That was. I like that idea. Him just waving. All right, see you later. Text me.
Right? Because this guy is not going to be put to death. So it's not like he's walking out of his life forever. If this guy, Edwin, lives and his father isn't murdered in the woods, they're going to be in the same house again one day. Like, Are we ever going to talk about that day you just sold me out in front of Jaime Lannister? Oh my, right? Like that's just going to be really awkward at dinner is all I'm saying.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so then he goes and talks to Edmure. And the whole convo is him being like, so I guess Rosalind must really be something since you were so busy fucking her you didn't know your family was being slaughtered. And Edmure is like, I didn't know, she didn't know. And he says something about she wept, but I thought it was the sight of your rampant manhood.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's just like, that's a whole thing. That could be a whole podcast. This man is just assuming that his young wife is so emotional because she's just so overcome with the prospect of like having sex with a man such as himself,
Yep.
It's just, I guess.
So he says, all right, I'm going to let you down. You hungry? You also need a bath. And we have got to figure out a way to handle your uncle. You are the Lord of House Tully. We've been dealing with him, but he doesn't want to hear it. And while I understand that, you have got to realize how hopeless this situation is and face reality. So if you are going to be a little bit more reasonable, I am prepared to make some adjustments to our plan in your favor.
One of the things that comes up is Edmure tells Jaime that his wife is pregnant. And so when Jaime starts to make this offer to Edmure, he's like, first of all, your uncle is being really unreasonable, but he's old and he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have any kids. He doesn't have anything to live for, basically, is what Jaime's saying. So he's willing to throw his life away for this lost cause, this unwinnable war, right?
Yeah.
And he looks at Edmure and he's like, but you got some shit to live for. You got that real pretty wife and she's got a baby, you said, and you'll have to, give up your title, and yeah, you'll lose Riverrun, but I can make you a captive at Casterly Rock, and you'll be our prisoner, but you will live very comfortably, though. We'll have you set up according to your station. I'll even get your wife to come. I'll send your wife out there. I'll find a place for your son if it's a boy. If it's a girl, I'll arrange for a suitable marriage. He's offering a really good deal.
Yeah.
Y'all, if I was Edmure and I was in a situation with having, supported Rob and how that went, and I might take this deal, y'all. I might take this deal. I'm saying it. Because again, to what we were talking about earlier, what is the end game for the Tullys? How do they win at this point? Yeah, I might take that fucking deal.
So yeah, this then we have, of course, well, what if I don't? And he's like, you know what? There's a bunch of people around, and I didn't think I wanted to say this in front of them, but everybody may as well hear it. You've seen our numbers. You've seen the ladders, the trebuchets. We will bridge your moat. We will break your gates. Most of your people will die. And there are going to be Freys dying, which I don't care about. So we will lose people, but it won't be skin off our back. And your herds will be butchered. Your gods will be felled. All those inside the castle will be put to the sword, and the keeps and towers will burn. I'll pull your walls down. I'll divert the tumblestone over the ruins. And by the time I'm done, no man will ever know that a castle even was here at all. And if your wife gives birth to your child before that, I'll send him to you with a trebuchet.
Yeah, that's There's a long, long silence because, really, what do you say to that? And in that moment of silence, Jaime thinks to himself, shit, if my Aunt Jenna had been here, would she still say that Tyrion was the one who was Tywin's son? Because I don't know. I just dropped some bars. I don't know if y'all heard those bars. Edmure, when he does finally speak, what he chooses to say is, well, I could just get out of this tub right now and kill you, which I think is really bold. I know
bold.
Is bold
the right word?
I'm being generous. I know Jaime lost his hand, and that is, significant. I'm not trying to downplay that. I don't even know that much about Edmure, but for some reason, when I read this line and Jaime says you could try, I was like, yeah, he could fucking try. I don't believe for a second that Edmure could take Jaime in a fight, and that might not really be reasonable, you guys. I'm ready to admit that might not be accurate. Maybe he could. I know nothing about Edmure, really. Jaime is not the fighter he was with the sword anymore, but just throwing hands against a naked Edmure out of a wet tub, I feel like Jaime might have that, I
feel like Edmure has not only been he's been starved, the past
also
few, however.
Excellent point. This is the first time he's had a bath and food and who knows how long. He is not at his best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is very bold.
So, yeah, you could try. Edmure does not move. And then he's like, all right, well, you eat, and I'm going to have my singer play a little song.
Oh, my God. That's right, because he has invited a singer to join, and that girl P has brought the food and the clothes for Edmure. And the guy says, oh, the one about the rain? Yeah, I know it. Now, let me ask you, Edmure, it says, seems to see the man for the first time, and he goes, no, not him. Get him away from me. And Jamie goes,
Yeah.
why? It's just a song. He can't have that bad of a voice. So this is a singer from the wedding?
No. So this is a note from Austin, and I appreciate it because I know that I had found this out, but I forgot. The singer that Jaime has play the reins of Castamere to Edmure at the end is Tom of Seven Strings from the Brotherhood Without Banners. Edmure recognizes him as he is the singer that made the song about his floppy fish.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
How did Tom get all in the mix? What's he doing
How
here?
indeed. When you're a singer, you could just go where the fuck you feel like.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you even know who that is? Like, how do you guys know that's who that is? Does it come up later?
I don't know. I feel like maybe.
Because there's nothing from the way this is written for me to understand that that's who this singer is, right? So
I think
that this is a known
Tom
thing,
has told the story about it being the flop. So it's the sort of thing where the information is in the book for you, but you would have to have a very good memory in order to put it together.
Well, I know he made the song about the floppy fish, but I mean, from this page right here, where Edmure just looks at the singer and goes, no, not him. We're supposed to just, I mean, I just don't see how you make the connection that that's Tom. There's got to be other information to help a reader figure out that's who that is.
Well, I don't know. I don't have it.
Yeah, that's true. And if you did, you probably couldn't tell me.
That's true.
But yeah, so Edward is less than excited to see Tom.
Indeed.
I can't wait to find out. Like, there's a line about when Tully is talking to Jaime, and Jamie's promising, that we'll let your fighters go, we'll let your bannermen go, and Brendan says something like, "I know you wouldn't just leave them to join up with Lord Barrick. So what do you expect them to do?" And it's once again like a reminder that they're out there, Barrick and them are just out, in the woods, wreaking havoc everywhere. So to find out that that's Tom that's in the mix here is just really interesting. All right.
So let's go to Cersei. I hate this so much. This was a really, really tough read for me.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
It's like a combo of how wrong she is about everything, how cruel she's being, how completely certain she is that she's actually on the right track with it all. It would be so easy to think this was a show that Cersei is putting on to convince everybody else of this story that she has invented in her head. But we are in her head and we know that she believes it. And I think that's what fucks me up the worst of all, is that she really is like, yeah, Lord Giles was assassinated and this singer did sleep with Marjorie, and I can't believe he's lying to me. It's just, she is so completely detached from reality in this chapter that I find it genuinely frightening. Because you can't talk to somebody who is this blind to what's right in front of their face.
As I was reading it, it was very, there were some moments where when she's talking, especially when they're torturing the singer, and she's doing the thing where she's like, no, you must have remembered wrong. Because once they break him and he starts confessing to shit that's completely made up, because he doesn't know how much she wants to hear, he just starts throwing everything at her. And he starts naming people that it does not work to her advantage to have them all caught up in the mix, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
So he starts dropping names, and she's like, oh, no, I think you're remembering wrong. And then he's like, yeah, you're right. And when you read it, you're just like, is she doing that thing where you, like, if I were watching it, right, instead of reading it, it will be clear from body language and tone and delivery that everybody understands that we're fabricating a lie together right now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or is the delivery, she honestly believes what she's saying? And I really found myself swinging back and forth, like not being exactly sure of what the intent is. Because some of the moments were so
I'm sorry if you
out
can hear
of
Sam snoring. Oh my god, he's so loud right now.
Some of the things that she's saying are just like the dissonance, right? Like we know that she's full of shit. We know that this didn't happen. And the way she's talking, I'm like, wait, does she really believe that she's right?
This is exactly what I'm saying.
I can't tell. And like 1 minute I'm like, okay, no, she knows. And then 1 minute next I'm like, wait, no, I don't think she does. It's really, really weird. And I don't know if that is by design. Like, did George mean for it to land that way? Or do other people experience it a little bit differently? Like, I really honestly don't know. I don't know if she's for real or not.
I genuinely think that she believes this stuff. I really do. I think that she has just lost the thread, and she has grown so paranoid that she is feeding into these delusions. And like the fact that she's like, no, they couldn't have been there. Very easily with somebody else, I would probably agree that like that has the sound of it, of somebody who is trying to get him to say what they want him to say. And yes, that is true. She is trying to get him to say what she wants, but she wants him to say it because she really believes that all of these people are part of the same problem. So it's all of a piece. And it's like as good as true. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah. It's just such a, trying to be really careful about how I describe her and what this is, right?
Because you want to use some ableist terms.
Yeah, right. But like,
I feel you.
If she is this operating under this delusion, right? Because if that's really what she thinks is happening, if that's what she really thinks is true, she's got no real evidence to support anything that she believes.
No.
And the fact that she's getting these other people to go along with this delusion, but via different methods, like torture for the singer, promises of great reward and sex to Kettle Black. I don't know what they're going to do with this poor little girl, this one little girl that they're going to like try to use as a witness.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about that. But the fact that she can have all these people aid her, and join her in this fantasy is really, really scary. But I guess when you are in a position of power, this happens more often than we would like to really, I think about,
Yes.
When people in power or people who have great power want other people to join them in their fantasy. Like, for instance, that you maybe won an election that you in fact did not win. And how many people will go along, with that fantasy and say with a bold chest on like the news, just the craziest shit ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like, I think there's a part of her that recognizes that she's just asking him to say things that she wants him, but it's like she is so convinced that everybody is her enemy in the same way, that these accusations, it's like, if they get swept up in it, I know they're guilty of other stuff that's just as bad. So this is just the easiest way to clean house. You know, I don't know. It's just, I just find this so like, it's very chilling to me. And so we start things off with poor fucking Pycelle.
Yeah, this guy cannot catch a break when it comes to Cersei. Like, she really should just let him fucking retire. Like, I can't stand him, and I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to feel sorry for him. And I don't like being in a position where I feel sorry for Pycelle. I really don't care for it.
Yep.
But it's getting to the point where I'm just like, God, can this guy fucking live? No, he can't.
Nope.
So everything he says too, she's doing that thing when you really, 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 really dislike someone, right? Everything that they say is wrong. It does not matter what the fuck you're talking about. Everything is wrong. So it opens with her saying to Pycelle that she's been informed that Giles died. And Pycelle says the kind of thing that we just get sort of programmed to say is the like appropriate response, right? When someone dies, you say something sort of like comforting, something gentle, you know, something sort of respectful, just whether you really mean it or not, right? So she's like, I heard old boy died. And Pycelle's like, yes, I did my best to ease his passing, which is a thing you say when you're like a physician or in like a healing capacity, right? You just say it. It's just the thing that you say. And then the other person you're talking to, if they are a normal, balanced, emotionally regulated person, they say back to you, I'm sure you did everything you could. Right? And then we're done. That's how that conversation goes. He says, I did my best to ease his passing. And this bitch says to Dana, I'm pretty sure I told this motherfucker not to let that guy die. And he's just telling me right to my face he helped ease his passing. And fucking Lady Merryweather says, you sure did, Your Grace. I was here. I heard it.
I can't with Tana. I really can't. Like, I don't know what to do with her. She is so messy.
Oh my God.
And so like completely flagrant, you know?
Oh my God.
And I mean, at the end of this whole thing, we see that has paid off for her. So
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it definitely has. Then fucking Cersei is like, Sir Osmond, what is your recollection of that conversation? And he's like, you told my Maester Pycelle fucking save that guy. We all heard it, Your Grace. We all heard it. And you got, like, you have to know that Pycelle's face while he's watching these two do this. You know, he's just got to be like, oh, come on. It's very, like, mean girlish, you know. This thing is very, like, clicky, you know, cliquish, and you know what I mean? It's just filled, like, this could be, like, a high school cafeteria or something, you know? It's just, But anyway, that's probably the only funny thing that happens in this chapter, because the rest of this is awful.
Was it our little queen who commanded you to kill Lord Giles? Kill? Your Grace cannot believe it was his cough. She bore Lord Giles no ill will. Why would Queen Marjorie want him dead? Why, to plant another rose on Tommen's council. Are you blind or bought? Rosby stood in her way, so she put him in his grave with your connivance. And yeah, he's like, no, that's not it. I swear to God. And she's like, all right, finally. He is ripe enough. Time to squeeze the fruit and taste the juice. If you are as leal as you claim, why are you lying to me? Do not trouble to deny it. You began to dance attendance on Maid Marjorie before Sir Lawrence went to Dragonstone, so spare me further fables about how you want only to console our good daughter in her grief. What brings you to the maiden vault so often? Not Marjorie's vapid conversation. Are you courting that pox-faced septa of hers? I obey. A maester takes an oath of service. She is the queen. I am the queen. I meant she is the king's wife, and I know who she is. What I want to know is why she has need of you. My oaths forbid me to divulge. Your oaths will be of small comfort in the black cells.
That
I'll
is all
hear the truth, or you'll wear chains.
That does it. That does it. He hears that threat, and that is all it takes. Absolutely not. He is like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Not anything but that. And then I love this moment. It doesn't really get really like talked about, but he does say, he's like, when he's begging, he's like, I was your father's man and a friend to you in the matter of Lord Aaron. And I was just like, oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. But then like it doesn't, nothing else really happens with that. But I was just like, oh, that is a really good thing. And I was surprised that she didn't like think to herself anything about him saying that.
Yeah. Especially considering she threw his death in Pycelle's face along with all the others to try and suggest that he's incompetent. So, girl.
Yeah. That's really, really like, it's bananas that she in 1 second can blame him for that death, because she just, forgot to find details of how that went down.
I guess so.
Yeah,
I think that he is assuming she was responsible for John Aaron's death. And so he thinks by like hiding what caused his death, he's doing her a favor, because everybody assumed that's who did it. Everybody assumed it was Cersei, which is why Lysa's letter was so effective. But we know it was Lysa, so whoopsie-daisy.
Yeah. And yeah, she like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, well, I guess she just thinks he's full of like nonsense, and she has such a low opinion of Pycelle too, that she doesn't really care what he means, really.
Yeah. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
He's not worth listening to.
No. So finally he does confess, and he takes her moon tea.
Yeah.
So this, you guys, I don't really know. I don't know if I'm supposed to know what's going on with this, and I missed several things, which is very, very possible, or if this is like a mystery to us as readers about what exactly he's taking moon tea for her. I really didn't think she was fucking anybody. Am I being naive? I also like Cersei's like, everybody knows what moon tea is for, and I'm assuming that is for terminating pregnancies, right? But I don't know if it has any other uses. And also he takes the tea to her, but like it could be for one of her other ladies. Unless he sees her drink it. I really don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information. I mean, I know what Cersei ends up doing with it, but I feel like I can't trust her. So
yeah,
am I missing something?
Good stance.
Or
no, you're not missing something. It's a shock that this is what's going on, but we don't know any details. And I mean, it could be for one of her ladies, but also they could just go to Pycelle themselves. So why would she be the middleman? Like, it looks bad for her more than it would for one of them.
True. Yeah. See, I don't know. I really, again, influenced by the show, whether I mean to be or not. Right. I really didn't think she was sleeping with anybody else, but maybe she is. There's a whole, Cersei doesn't believe her to be a maid at all. There's a whole bit in this chapter about Maiden's Day coming up and what a fucking farce it is.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's sort of weird because really Cersei keeps insisting that she thinks Margaery and Renly had sex, but she knows that Loras is gay, and I guess she's just never, like, she has not grokked the fact that the two of them were a thing.
I thought that it was widely known. Like,
same.
But she, every time she talks about how she just doesn't believe for a second that Margaery didn't fuck Renly, I'm just like, what? And then she said, then Loras comes up and she's just like, I forget what makes her say it, but I think it's in this chapter where she just says something along the lines of, I think she's thinking about who Margaery could be fucking. Maybe that's what it is. And she's just like, no, everybody knows it couldn't be Loras or something like that. But something that makes it seem very clear that she understands that Loras is gay. And she has remarked on it in the past as well. So are we supposed to is that supposed to be sort of an indication to us of just how poorly informed Cersei can be and how she can miss stuff and not be a good, I don't want to say judge of character. I don't want to say judge of character, but like she doesn't make good estimations of people.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so. I just can't get it. Oh, she's so high-handed here. The whole Lord Giles left no children of his body, but there is a ward not of his blood. Cersei dismissed that annoyance with a flick of her hand.
She's gonna steal this motherfucker's estate and rob his ward.
Mm-hmm. Basically, no doubt he told you of his wish to leave all his lands and wealth to Tommen. Lord Giles loved his grace with all his heart, but his ward will doubtless understand once he hears you speak of Lord Giles' dying wish. Go and see it done.
So she
again cannot.
So she has just decided, you're going to go out there, you're going to lie, because I'm telling you to lie. We're going to take this dude's estate, all his money, because the crown is, it's got a cash flow problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have any family, any air quotes, real family to put up a fuss. And also Lady Merryweather is here for this whole conversation, as is Kettle Black, which, again, no shade, but maybe not so many witnesses to you orchestrating all these lies.
She really thinks she can trust these people 1,000%. Doesn't seem to have even entered her mind.
Because she can't be played in her idea of herself. She, you can't touch her. I cannot be played. I can't be made a fool. You can't get anything over on me. I'm hip to everything. I'm 2 steps ahead. I'm playing chess. Y'all playing checkers. That's who she thinks she is. So you could be playing right in her fucking face and she wouldn't see it. Because her ego is so big,
Yup.
It is, those kind of people are so dangerous and so plentiful.
So plentiful. Oh, God. So yeah, she's trying to figure out who she could put on the council. I love that Pycelle thinks he's being helpful by saying he can make a list of possible candidates, and she's just like, oh, sweetie.
I need him to stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
I need him to steal away under the cover of night and go have a new life somewhere. Go grow your beard someplace safe where you can be happy. Go back.
That's
to
a really
town.
good dismissive thing to say to somebody with a beard. Why don't you just go grow your beard? I'm like it.
I think Cersei says something about his beard at the beginning of this chapter too. There's a little shade she throws his little sad beard. It's not the kind of thing that I ever notice on my own, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But there is a in black spaces. I know you've seen this all the time. I don't want to name the person, but when you talk about people's struggle beards,
oh yeah, it doesn't even connect on the
and
sides.
your beard don't even connect.
Yep.
And this beard shade just sends me every time I see it. So then having it show up in this book unexpectedly is just such a delight.
So she's trying to decide what she can even do with this information, because the moon tea on its own is not enough. She needs to figure out who is involved. And there's all kinds of theories thrown around here, suggestions, yada, yada, yada. And eventually, I am minded to try Sir Harris in the office of new Lord Treasurer. He can do no worse than Giles. At least he does not cough.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Harris is the king's hand. Sir Harris is a hostage and feeble even at that. It's time that Tommen had a more forceful hand. Lord Orton lifted his gaze from his wine cup. Forceful, to be sure. Who? You, my lord. It is in your blood.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandsire took my own father's place as hand to heiress. She is making Taena's husband the fucking hand.
And she thinks this is super, 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 super smart.
Yep.
Super smart.
She sure does.
I don't recall her even thinking this before. And we haven't actually seen it happen. But it's not like outrageous to think that Taena maybe has dropped a couple of seeds in Cersei's brain. And
It's
all
not,
the time
but
that they
we
spent
haven't
together.
seen it.
Because I'm just trying to figure out like how she goes from, like how does she end up here with this guy? And the only thing I can think of is Taena. She's never talked about him being impressive at all in any way, right?
Nope. And she even says here that it's not really like him that's the strong one. It's Taena.
Mm-hmm.
That she's
like
more worthwhile than her husband.
Yep. If I could, I would just make her the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Cersei's thinking that, with Taena's help, they can run. What's the husband's name? Orton.
Yeah.
They can just run him, like run right over him between the two of them, and he'll just be like a puppet. I'm sure is what she's thinking. Which I guess I don't know. But
Girl, I guess is the straight up energy for Cersei for a lot of this book.
Oh, our POV chapter should just be called that.
Oh my god. She just
yeah, she asked the guy, will you consent to serve? And he's like, of course, I didn't see this coming, and what a great honor. And y'all, I would love to know what he thinks of her. I don't know if there's a way for me to ever find that out, but I would really like to hear what some of these other nobles and council members think of Cersei. I don't think we're going to get any POVs for any of them. Maybe I'll get a surprise or two, because this book has been weird. I've gotten like POVs from characters that I don't really know that aren't like our main cast before. So it's not like completely off the table, but I am desperate to know what these people that are really close to her think of her. Like I've heard like in Jaime's POV, we get what Jaime thinks about some of the things she's doing. We've heard via conversations Jaime's had with other people what they think, like when he's talking to his aunt and she's like, what the fuck is your sister doing? But I want to know what the people who are like in the mix that are like right up under her every day, what do they have to say? They have got to all just be like, when they pass each other in the hallway, like they can't just be talking shit willy-nilly. There's got to be like a face they make, eye rolls, and synchronized eye rolling. There's got to be something, right?
Synchronized eye rolling.
Because it's like when you're at work and whenever you're like, you run into a coworker in the bathroom and you just like, bitch, did you hear what the fuck they said in that meeting? Or did you get that email? That kind of shit. There has got to be a lot of that, right? Like every day they got to be like, did you hear what the fuck that bitch said last night?
I wonder how, because the thing that I always am so hung up on with the Red Keep is how many tunnels there are and how many people are always listening. So I'm just like, I wonder, do they talk to each other or are they too afraid to do that? Because I think I would be too afraid to even say shit.
That's why the synchronized eye roll comes in. Like,
There
maybe
you
you don't
go,
want to
yeah.
get, you don't want to get caught, speaking reckless. So you just see each other in the hallway and you make that face. And the other
God.
person knows exactly what the face is for. Yeah, so, and oh my gosh, this guy says you're doing me such a great honor, and she thinks to herself, a greater one than you deserve.
She fucking knows that, and she's doing it anyway.
And then
It's
she
the
says
wildest shit.
She says to herself, greater than you deserve, out loud, you have served me ably and will continue to do so. I get it. Like, all right, she's playing a game. You can't always say what you mean, right? You can't always say what you think. Gotta be like strategic about it. I get it. But as we have said many times before, the speed at which she switches back and forth,
Yeah.
it is just so jarring to like be in her brain and then her mouth say something and then be in her brain and then her mouth say like the complete opposite and have it be in such rapid succession that by the time you're done in Cersei POV, I'm like exhausted a lot of the times when I'm done on her chat. Even when they're like really, really good, I'm always at the end. I'm just like,
Yep.
That was a lot. Every time.
Yeah. And the thing with her as well is like, if you gain her favor, how glad are you? Like, he got made hand because she has decided y'all are my friends and I can trust you. But you have seen the way that she will turn on a dime. So can you even enjoy your power?
No, absolutely
You have
not.
to be constantly like trying to ensure she doesn't turn on you the way she's turned on literally everybody else.
I wouldn't want her to know my fucking name.
Right.
I would want to be so far off of her radar. Which is that, and that's the other thing too, which I guess is really what's the underpinning to like a lot of this entire story is, what people are willing to do in the attempt to try to grab power,
Yeah.
and also how like we talk a lot of shit about Cersei because she's just like fascinating and there's just so much to dig your teeth into, but she is not alone in thinking that I'm always going to have the upper hand, right?
Mm-hmm,
so even though we don't get to be in the POVs of these people, I would have to imagine that someone like this Osney Kettleblack or whichever one it is that she's dealing with in this POV, he probably thinks to himself, "Oh, I can work her for whatever I need."
Yep.
Tana is probably thinking to herself, "Oh, I can play her for whatever I need." Everybody always thinks that they are somehow the exception. And they are going to pull like the fast one on whomever. So it's not even just that Cersei is out here thinking that. These other people that are dealing with her are probably also thinking, yeah, Cersei's wild. She a real wild bitch and she be turning on everybody, but I can take her. I got it. I can control her.
Yeah.
I can work her, So we'll see.
The only person that I believed was correct when they said that was Littlefinger.
So far, I mean,
do you remember him saying that?
He's right, and he's right. Like you got to let her think. This Tina Merriweather might be on to something. I'm not sure how this is all going to shake out, but she seems. I mean, she's in a very, very precarious position now.
Yeah.
But so far, she's walking a very, very fine line and doing it successfully. But we'll see how long she manages to keep it up. Ooh, if she goes down, y'all, if Cersei were to turn on her, that would be so bad because Cersei would take it so personally. She would be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hope that Tata gets away. If she really is playing Cersei and Cersei finds out, I hope she gets away because this is like, it'd be like sending her to Qyburn wouldn't even be like the worst thing she could do. She would think of something even like 10 times worse.
So this I don't even want to talk about this.
Yeah, the singer, right? So this singer,
yeah,
that she has invited into her little solar that's there, and he is called the Blue Bard, and he seems just like a lovely young man, and he's all dressed in blue. He's even dyed his hair blue, and they end up. I really don't want to go like through the whole thing because it's really upsetting.
No. Yeah.
But they torture him. It's really bad. They knock all his teeth out. They take an eye. They cut a nipple off. It's just terrible. And ultimately, they get him to confess to all kinds of shit. Not just sleeping with Marjorie, but sleeping with the cousins and having Marjorie like play with herself in front of it while he's banging other people, and like a whole orgy is like happening, And then, like we were saying at the beginning of the episode, he gets so just saying whatever he thinks will stop the pain and save his life. He starts dropping names that they don't want to hear.
Yep.
So
they're just like, hit the brakes. You gotta, some of those do not sound right. You're right. Yeah, they don't sound right because they are wrong. So it wasn't right that.
Did I say they were there? Ah, shit, my bad. I didn't mean to say that. And she ends up agreeing to the names that they want him to say. They want him to say that Talad the Tall, somebody named Turnberry. They're throwing Yalabar Zoe up into this, which that like really. I mean, that man is just trying to get his little pennies so he can go back home. Y'all been stringing him along for I don't know how many years. And you had said earlier in one of her she had said in one of her earlier POVs that he was kind of a nuisance, but she would just put him off for another year. So I guess she decided this is another way to get rid of him. Like, I'll just throw him in the mix because he's just a pain in my ass and he brings nothing to my, he brings me absolutely nothing this value. So, and then he says that she was fucking the Redwind twins, Kettle Black, and Loris. And then Cersei's like, all right, calm down. Everybody calm down. We can't have the red wines or red winds. I'm not sure how you say it. We can't have them up in there. No one is going to believe she's fucking Loris. We need to bring that out. So this is when she's got like, you gotta
care to revise your statement, sir?
And so
have you seen The Fugitive?
Oh my God. Not in a very long time, but yeah.
Because there's that, like, this dude is like, oh yeah, there's no way they got out, the blah, blah, blah. And then they find the like abandoned fastenings that these two left when they got out. They indeed did. And care to revise your statement, sir? And he looks at her and says, what? And he goes, do you want to change your bullshit story, sir? And every time I hear revise your statement, that's how it ends in my head. You know how that is, where something just lodges itself in your brain for the rest of your life. And it's like, those go together for all eternity now.
100%.
But anyway,
so yeah, they get the story down to something that she's comfortable with. They're going to incriminate the people that she wants to incriminate. This poor young boy is then finally like, he can be cleaned and have his wounds dressed at this point once he's agreed. There's a whole bit where she really goes off about the maiden vault thing. And then finally it's time for Cersei to go to bed. It's been a very long day and a very, very long night she spent up torturing a young boy, and she is tuckered out.
Yep.
And
at the very least, I appreciated that she feels like queasy, because I was sort of like, when I first read this, thinking, is she just like sadistic? And she's not exactly. So, that's like bare minimum.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to take specific pleasure in the torture itself, right? Like she grimaces a couple of times and has to look away, or wants to look away, but steels herself because she thinks it would be like unseemly if she shows weakness, right? So she's got to stand there and watch it like she's not being bothered by it. But when she gets back to her room and is going to take a bath and stuff, she's thinking to herself, and I think maybe even saying out loud to Tana, about how hard the night was on her.
Oh, one of those thankless days at work, babe. My inbox is full.
And so this is when they come up with the idea that they're going to not have all three of Marjorie's closest cousins be called out. They're going to keep one, and they decided it's going to be one named Ala. And that one, I think, is Taina's suggestion. Like, she specifically is like, let's not do all three. Let's just do two, and we'll pick one and say that she wasn't a part of it, but that she was so ashamed and disgusted by what she saw that she'll be a witness. And they decide on the Ala girl. And Cersei is like, oh, the shy one. And Taina is like, it's more sly than shy. And I was like, word? Is it? Because, I don't know. But, Taina knows. So, and she also says to Cersei, don't worry about it. I got it. You leave it to me.
Yeah.
And I just leave it to her. Like, I want to see what Taina's like when she's in Marjorie's. Like, I want a POV so I can see what she's saying to the other side.
Yeah. There's also a whole thing with when so we were talking before about how sort of nerve-wracking it might be to even be in Cersei's favor, because you never know when it's going to go away. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment during the torture when Qyburn he says something about, I was with the queen, and he says there's only one queen and she stands before you. And I was just really impressed, I have to say, that there was no call for that in the moment, but he added it just to like he's just shoring up his own good. And I was like, that's a lot of people would not catch that. You need to like contradict him with that. And I feel like if there's anybody who is very secure that I don't think Cersei will turn against, at least for now, Qyburn has really ensured a good spot for himself. He
is low-key the only person that she's installed that is competent and good at their job.
Yeah. Their job is horror, but
it's terrible. They have the worst job, but they have not failed her yet. Right? Mm-hmm. He has delivered on practically everything that he said. When she calls him and she needs something to be done, she needs something to be accomplished, he is right there.
Yep.
He is the one doing all the torturing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
At one point, this kid, this blue bard is like, this is how because he's just giving his whole fucking life story. He's so terrified. And he says something about, I just came to King's Landing hoping to find favor at court. And Qyburn is like, favor? Oh, is that what the women call it now? I think you found too much. Talking to this guy like you've been out here fucking all these girls. Which, as far as we know, is not really the case, right? That's just Cersei's lie. But Qyburn
I 100% believe Qyburn doesn't believe it either, right? Like he's playing his role. Like
100% committed to his role. And I love it too, because he's talking. And when he says the line you mentioned where he's like, you picked the wrong queen, the true one stands before you. The very next line Cersei thinks is yes. That's all it says. Yes. And then it goes in her house. Cersei blamed Marjorie Tyrell for this. Meaning, I think
she did.
This torture that we're about to do and the lying that we're about to do, this is all Marjorie's fucking fault. She actually says, fucking Marjorie made me do this. This fucking little girl has forced me to turn into someone who does this. She says she has soiled me with her treachery. Cersei, are you being for real right now?
She is being for real, for real.
Oh, be for fucking real. Yeah. Her scheming forced this on me. Like, she takes absolutely no responsibility and no ownership for her choices and her decisions that she's making. It is wild. But yeah, so she makes back to her room, talks to Taina. They come up with this plan about this other girl, and let's see, I think the next thing you know, she has to deal with, she tells her about the prophecy.
Yeah, there's a part where she confides in Taina even more than pretty much anybody. Like, I'm not even sure if Jaime knows about the prophecy, actually.
Oh, that's a really interesting point. I just hadn't even thought of that. Does it ever tell us when she's mentioned it before in her POVs? Does she ever tell us?
I don't remember.
I know she makes it a point this time and the last time in the last POV, which she's talking to, who is it that tells her that Maggie is supposed to be Magi or whatever?
That's Qyburn.
That's Qyburn. So she's told Qyburn, but I don't think in great detail. But she kind of told him about, like, we went to this woods witch and da 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 da. But I can't remember if we find out if Jaime knows about this or anyone else. But yeah, she tells her, and she has this awful dream about Tyrion too. Ugh. She dreams that he bites her nipple off and is like suckling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's all like naked and covered in fur, and it just is upsetting. And this is
the moment where she confides in Taina. I just really want to like point something out here.
Okay.
Since you haven't mentioned it. She could still hear Melara Heatherspoon insisting that if they never spoke about the prophecies, they would not come true. She was not so silent in the well, though. She screamed and shouted.
That makes it sound like Cersei pushed her down that fucking well.
It does, right?
But that can't possibly be for real, right? We're not doing 14-year-old Cersei was a murderer. We're not doing that, are we?
I mean,
because I need that in my life? Why I don't need that. There's plenty going on already.
The main issue is really like, why would she want to kill her? But
I mean, it could be two things. I mean, it could be partly that the revelation about Jaime, because Cersei didn't seem to be very happy about that revelation, that her best friend was, had a crush on Jaime. So it could have been some weird jealousy. It could have been testing this fucking prophecy. I really don't know. I don't know, because like I said, idea. I don't need this. I don't need none of this.
And Taina's like explanation here. This was a hateful woman, old and sick and ugly. You were young and beautiful, full of life and pride. She lived in Lannisport, you said, so she would have known of the dwarf and how he killed your lady mother. This creature dared not strike you because of who you were, so she sought to wound you with her viper's tongue. And Cersei is like, God, could that be what it is?
It's definitely a story.
It's like she was. Yeah,
it almost works. It's like it
almost
really
works.
Like if this prophecy and this fear hadn't been so deeply entrenched in Cersei's psyche and for so many years, this would have worked.
Mm-hmm,
this would have worked. But it's just been something that's been bothering her for too long for it to just go away this easily.
Yeah.
But this was the absolute correct strategy to try. If anything was going to work, it would be something like this. Like, this is very, very smart on Taina's part,
Yeah.
And this it says too. It says, but Melara died just as it was foretold, which is a weird way to remember a thing if you in fact killed someone. It's a very weird thing that in your memory. It's like, oh, but they died. So if it was a test of the prophecy, were you like, did you think if I pushed her down this well and she survived, that would be proof that the prophecy was bullshit? That seems like a very weird way to go about disproving something.
Yeah.
But yeah. So maybe it turned out to be more of the It's just weird to kill someone and then be like, oh my God, that person died. It's proof that the thing is true. So I'm going to, in summary, I'm not going to think that Cersei killed this girl because it just makes things overly complicated and my brain just can't right now with that. So
that's fair. I accept that. So then we have her breakfasting with Tommen, and he's talking about learning to train with Loras, and she has to be like, babe, he's not coming back. Then we have the talk about Maiden's Day. And she has like a moment of thought where Tommen is like, did I say something wrong? And I just hate how he has to be so aware of her because of what she has done to him. Like, you know what I mean? Just that conscious of her mood changes. And then she goes to talk to Osney Kettleblack. And this scene is so frustrating to read because he is so gross with her, and she is so disdainful of how she's been treated by men her whole life, but then has like put herself in this position here where she's using sex to manipulate him, and he can take control of the situation and rape her because she is now kind of beholden to him, you know, like, and so I'm just so annoyed with her because she is so conscious all the time of how now that I have this power, it's my chance, yada, yada, yada. But then she has to like fucking put herself in a corner where she can't get away from this like promise that she has made him. Right. It makes me fucking crazy that she has handled things this way.
It's a really, and the thing too, the power shift happens so quickly. And it's because she is queen, right? Or queen regent. She does have an immense amount of power, but what she is asking Osney to do puts her in a position of real vulnerability. Also, I still, like, I'm going to be honest, this doesn't play for me, this particular plot. This idea that
it's extremely convoluted.
Right? And that I don't buy that he agrees to this. It just doesn't seem like the reward is worth it. He's going to admit to fucking sleeping with the queen. She has promised that he won't lose his head, that he'll only go to the wall, and it'll only be for a short period of time. And I feel like what she is asking him to do is so incredibly dangerous and could spiral out of her control so quickly that it doesn't make sense to me that he would risk losing his head, because that's what he could lose his head for fucking the queen. Right. This to me is not a believable part of the story. And I don't know if it's supposed to not be believable because he's really full of shit and he's not going to go through with this plan at all. Or I'm supposed to assume that he wants to fuck her so bad that this really not, you know, the reward doesn't seem to match what she's asking him to do. And it just doesn't it doesn't make sense to me. But
yeah, I definitely get that.
You know, but yeah, so but by him agreeing to this fucking charade, now he has power over her that quick.
Exactly.
And I just I guess she tells herself that ultimately she's the one in power because he is agreeing to her harebrained scheme. But
harebrained does not get used enough. That's some good shit right there, harebrained.
But you know, it just feels to me like she is setting herself up for a really dramatic fall, and she has given, like, there are people who have really damaging information on her that I just feel like the scales are not balanced and they're not in her favor, but she doesn't seem to be worried about it. So I'm like, maybe I got it fucked up. I didn't do a great job with these 2 chapters. Maybe I really misread. Maybe I'm really misreading this whole thing because it just it doesn't work for me. And I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe this is all going to turn out to be a giant fucking, we have proof that you've been conspiring against the queen all this time, Cersei, and now you're going to be arrested and you're going to be tried. And who you thought you were running it, but you weren't. Because otherwise, this just seems, I don't know, you guys. I don't know.
Sloppy?
It does. It seems very sloppy. These people that she has entrusted to be part of the scheme don't strike me as people who would be loyal 10 toes down, you know, except maybe Qyburn, you know.
Yeah.
But the rest of these fucking people, the minute you apply pressure, these people are fucking flipping on Cersei real quick. Maybe I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know.
Yeah. And just a reminder too, because Austin has mentioned this in his notes a couple times, and I keep forgetting to say something about it myself, that Cersei's plan here is very different from in the show, where what she does is turn Loras in for being gay, basically. That's how she's planning on like undermining Marjorie.
Right. I forgot. I knew he got arrested, but I couldn't remember how he ended up getting in there. I forgot that it's Cersei that turns him in. I forgot all about that. I just remembered that he got arrested, and I was thinking about, and then my mind goes to Lancel turning Cersei in, you know.
Right, yeah.
But I completely forgot that she's the one that gets Loras in there. I think we talked about that a little bit when we got the reveal last week that Loras went to Dragonstone and got really hurt. I think we talked a little bit about how Loras ended up in the show.
Yeah, we talked about like where he went, but not really that was a plan that completely replaced a major plot line here. And, you know, just for understandable reasons, it was very frustrating to be like, oh, cool, we're just going to watch somebody get persecuted for being gay when that's not in the main story. So we get to fucking have that torment. Fun.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's interesting that they needed to insert that there.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to just mention that when she first starts talking to Osney here, she says, you know, you've been suffering under the burden of this horrendous shame that you've been carrying. Aren't you tired? Don't you want to lay your burden down? And he's like, I'm sorry. My what now? Shame? What am I ashamed about? And she's just like, he's like, I told Osmond that fucking Marjorie is a big tease. She won't let me do anything. And he gets cut off. She never lets me do any more than, and then Cersei interrupts him, which I really would have liked to have heard the rest of that sentence, because that might answer some questions. But instead of fucking listening, Cersei is just like, no, you just no need to, there's no time to finish any sentences. And she says,
it's weird because later when she says she'll cut her head off, he's like, can I steal the kiss I couldn't get? So I'm like, she only lets you, it must be almost nothing if he's never even gotten a kiss before.
So
I don't know.
She ends up telling Osney her whole plan. Like, which I don't know how much of the plan he needs to know. Like, she tells him about the plans her and Merryweather have with these two girls now, and that they're going to like make Alla like the one who wasn't part of it. Does he need to know all of this?
It really feels like she's just trying to show off.
I don't, and it just says that she told him all she had in mind. Osney listened. Apprehension slowly spread across his face. And yeah, I don't know, y'all. I guess I don't know. And then after that, this is when he's basically just like, all right, well, you fucking owe me some ass.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be doing all this, you know, if I'm gonna be putting all this out. He says he flips it. He says something to her like, well, if I'm gonna be lying, the best lies have some truth in them. So if I'm going to lie and say I fucked the queen, I should probably fuck a queen, so it's not necessarily a lie.
Yep. He thinks he's being really slick with this.
Very, very slick. Very slick. And he also says, if he says, I never lied to a high septon, I think you go to hell for that. One of the really bad ones.
I swear.